Morgan Penn and Hayley Sproull.
Ayo.
Welcome back to Between Two Beers.
Are we really the first
Thank
people
you.
to come back?
First ever repeat guests.
That was good.
Yeah, gal.
That was really, that makes me feel really chuffed.
We are really chuffed. We're really excited for this one.
Yeah.
Morgan, last time we met, you came with gifts. Did you bring gifts today?
I know you're asking this in jest, but yes, I did.
Did you?
Yes, of course I did.
What do we got?
Like Christmas, like we're a partnership. Can you just put my name on the card?
Darling, of course.
I just didn't know about the gift giving.
Well, no, this is from us.
Okay, thank you.
because
It's from both of us.
We do, obviously, a sex podcast, and what we're trying to do in the world is make more sex positivity. So, of course, I've given them some from our sex treasure trove.
Oh my gosh.
Because last year we got the crave eggs, which were...
You mean
How dare you?
Well,
this
we don't know
little-
that it's untouched. You made it,
Yes, it
given it a
is.
rinse.
It hasn't been unwrapped.
Yeah, I haven't used it.
Why?
Kind of luck.
I haven't needed to.
Oh.
Do you need me to teach you how to use
No,
it?
no,
Show you.
No. I got
All
it.
right, pants off.
Oh my God. So you pop it on the
Yeah.
the end.
It's just a posh wank.
Yeah.
Ing tool.
Really,
Okay.
really enjoyable posh wank.
Ah, you like
great.
that?
It was great. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm excited.
fantastic.
I'm excited to see what we've got in store today.
Okay, Steve, well, for you,
all leave
I
that
know
there.
you're in a loving relationship, but this
Oh.
might just help spice things up with a little game of love and intimacy.
Oh, I like
Very
that.
nice. 90 bedroom challenges to bring you even closer.
Yes.
Oh.
Love it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And for you, Seamus, you're the wild Brumby of the two.
Oh wow.
So, and I know
Is
you
that
like
a double-sided?
golf.
Yeah. Wow.
I've actually got these.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm shaking. Fuck.
You are shaking. Don't be alarmed.
Yeah. Wow.
It's quite a
Japanese
soft,
style bondage, by the way.
It's a
Vika.
soft entry into Japanese style bondage.
That's right. It's nothing too hardcore, but it is a bit of kink.
Does it come with
and-
instructions?
Yes.
Okay.
But really, it's a bit of rope tying. You can use your wrists or your ankles for a bit of restraint play.
Nothing sexier than instructions,
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm a practical person. so
Yeah,
I don't-
yeah.
I don't want to have to leave a note for someone to just in case things go wrong,
Yeah.
untie it this way.
So
Figure eight knot.
This is an exciting start. We'll have to give feedback on how the gifts go in
we
the
are. Well,
respective households.
This doesn't bode well
Unwrapped.
for how this is gonna. Oh, maybe I'll combine the two of them.
What? Oh, you could.
Far out,
but
tie yourself
honestly,
up and have a posh wank.
if
treat
we
yourself,
come back
right?
here and this hasn't been opened either, that's the last present you get.
It's over. Okay.
Steve gets them all.
All right. I'm really intrigued as to how you and me is going to go. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
unpacking 90
Well-
days of you and me. That's going to
I
make
don't
some.
think it was meant for both of you
No,
together.
no.
Yeah.
The Ambassadors episodes are going to be a lot spicier
Yeah.
from now on. This is going to be fucking epic.
Yeah, probably a good place to start. We both had you on as guests last year, and epic responses to both of them. But I think, Morgan, your it was a bit of a game changer for us, leaning into sex conversations and being open. And we weren't really sure how it was going to hit with our audience and our demo, but we had some really cool response, which is why we're so excited to have you back. I think, Shay, you got hit up by a couple of old blokes in a coffee shop.
Yeah, in Hamilton, I was having a coffee and two old guys that I knew, being disrespectful to their age, two people that are older than me.
More mature
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Yeah, who are in loving marriages, long-term loving marriages, both came up and they first started with like, whoo, wow, you said some stuff on there. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then once it softened, they were like, but actually it was really good hearing conversations like that from people that we know and that I don't know if they can, what's that word? The bondage stuff's thrown me out of
Oh my God.
thrown me out of a loop.
He's just wanting to get home now.
Yeah.
He's like, let's make this a quick app.
I'm like, we threw away the headboard. I'm trying to think of how the mechanics of that are going to work. But people that we know having these conversations in a open manner
Yeah.
is kind of
Normalising it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the purpose of it, right? So that was interesting. My family were also a little bit like, probably didn't need to hear the golf ball stuff. No,
Interesting with family, eh?
Yeah.
My dad listened to 2 eps of the first season of Sex. Did he get to 3, I think? And then he was like, I love you. It's so great. I'm out. And I was like, that's fair, Dad. That's fair.
Yeah.
And now we talk about him on the podcast.
I know. Oh, my God. Okay, I think my parents might not listen to this. So I rung my parents yesterday on the drive home and I said to them, I was like, what are you doing? They're like, it was 10 a.m. And they said, we're just getting out of bed. And I was like, oh, that's a nice sleep in. And then my dad went, well, and my mum goes, Craig, she doesn't need the details. And I said, oh, okay. And then he said, yeah, don't think about it too much, babe.
Oh, that's
Fair play.
awesome.
So I was actually quite chuffed for them.
Yeah, breaking barriers all over the place.
Yeah.
So my Sex.Life journey was after we had Morgan in. That was just before she'd released the first episode. And I remember you being quite sort of anxious about it and not sure how it was going to hit. And like it's gone on to be this huge success we're going to talk about. But I listened to the first episode to give you feedback because I knew, and I think I messaged you, I was like, oh, that was so good. Like I love the educational part, I love the narrative, the tease, like it's going to be a smash. But then for whatever reason, my truth is I didn't continue listening until this week
Wow.
in
Oh my
research
gosh.
for this
Wow.
ep.
Rattled.
So in the last 3 days, I've listened to every episode, and fuck, it was funny. I was like putting little notes as I was listening. I was walking around my neighborhood just like listening to Sex.Life, and I've put cuddle puddles and licking armpits, and slut just means you like a lot of something, and vicious farts to self-sabotage your relationship. And it's like, it always starts with, this ep gets a little heavier than normal. And I feel like every ep said that one, but they did progressively get heavier and heavier. But yeah, so cool to connect with you on the other side of it. So to frame it for our audience, and I will let you talk soon.
I'm loving it. I'm just observing. I'm loving
Yeah.
it.
So the podcast is about Morgan goes to a secret sex school in a rural town in New Zealand.
Season one.
And basically shared with us her experience and perhaps their secrets. Really gripping narrative, and it sort of provided a springboard for discussions about sex and embracing sexuality. Huge hit. Like Apple's top new podcast in New Zealand last year, over 500,000 downloads, more so. Took the country by storm. But we're keen to start at the beginning of the journey. So you've finished sex school. How soon did the idea culminate that I need to turn this into a podcast? And when did you think that Hayley was the right co-host to do it with?
Yeah, it wasn't like, it took me a while to even process coming out of sex school and integrating that into my life because it was actually such a big time. And as you kind of hear on that podcast, there are some reasonably traumatizing things that sort of happened, and I didn't even share all the things that went down because we had a very hefty legal team that didn't allow me to say a lot of things about the truth of what happened there. So it was probably about 8 months later where I was like, this is such a good story, and there was a love story in it as well. And I guess, you know, one key piece for me is accessibility. That's a real strong value of my work and what I offer in the world. And so a podcast is my free offering for people to learn and to have access to me. And so I was ready to enter back into the world of podcasting, and I was really trying to figure out what is a story that I want to tell because, you know, it feels like everybody's got a goddamn podcast these days, and I didn't just want to be another, you know, a voice in the melee. And I was like, this is a really, it's a story so true to my heart, and it's important, and it's like, yeah, it's got all the right ingredients that I know is the recipe for making a delicious cake. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to tell that story. And then I was like, how am I going to do it? Who am I going to do it with? And yeah, as I was working out what that other person needed to look like, I was talking to Fletch about it, who's obviously on air with Hayley. And he goes, have you thought about Hayley? And I was like, I have actually. And he just like sold the dream. And I was like, okay, you've just reinforced everything that I was thinking. I will slide into her DMs and ask her on a
slid.
little date.
Yeah, we did.
Did she reply? Because sometimes she doesn't.
I'm terrible, eh?
You're busy though. You're
I'm
busy.
so bad at replying.
What was your...
You guys always like, hey, Hayley. And I'm always like, oh, I'll come
These
back to
fucking
that.
guys
I'll come
want
back.
something again.
You want something from me all the time.
Assholes.
So what was your relationship like at this point?
We'd only worked together professionally, really, as Morgan coming on to ZM as our little like pop-up guest to talk about like one or two topics for our audience. And then maybe like one or two social occasions because my friendship with Fletch has grown a lot, and you've known Fletch for years and years and years. So we'd have a couple of social occasions, but we definitely weren't like besties or anything. Yeah, or scissor sisters as we are now.
You hadn't been mapped at that stage either, had you?
I hadn't been mapped, no.
Right.
No, I hadn't been Yoni mapped. I hadn't really done anything, and I'm a very like I've never even dipped a toe into like.
I don't think that's how you do it.
I don't think you can, and it's to each their own, you know. But no, I'd never like done anything like getting a yoni map or seeing a sexologist or anything like that.
Do you remember your first initial response when you saw the DM come in? Like, were you?
Yeah, I was immediately, yes, because I love talking to Morgan, and that was one thing we talked about on our little date on Ponsonby, was that when Morgan would come in to talk about sex on ZM, I was always like really curious, and I'd ask a lot of questions, and I think that's what Morgan needed for her podcast. In order to tell her story, she needs someone who is inquisitive and wants to ask, like be the audience basically in the moment and ask the questions.
And have reverence for it. And the humour piece, which I find is so important for our podcast when we're talking about sex, right? People are still very uncomfortable about this topic. And so humour is really important. It does break the ice, but it has to be done in such a clever way. It can't be, crass or, smutty. And that's what I love about Hayley's comedy. Like, it's fucking funny, and it's clever. And that curiosity that she comes in with is just like gold.
I think I even complimented you on that in one of our brief social occasions, that you did play that every person role immaculately. Like, you're listening along and you're almost having a conversation with the person that you're with going, blah, 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 blah.
Hang on, stop there. Yeah,
and then
totally.
you actually do it. It was really well played.
Yeah, I think I just am, like, I'm such an open book, and I'm like that on TV, on radio, in person. And I am so curious, and I think it was a good match to just be like, there will never be any judgment from me. I'm not a prude in any way, but I'm not like super informed in that world, which we hope is our audience as well.
And you were hearing stuff for the first time,
Knew
right?
nothing.
So it's not like you had the coffee date and you went, oh, by the way,
No,
these are
nothing.
some of the things that I'm going to talk about.
No,
Magic.
I said to her, I think the way we do this is you don't know. Because I know where I'm taking it. I'm going to fly the plane. You can be my co-pilot and just trust me. And she was like, yep, okay. And just back to that piece about her curiosity, my favourite question was when we were doing the group masturbation. And so the room was full of 50 people in the middle of summer, all jerking themselves off. And she was like, hang on. What did it smell like?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Because we all think we have an idea of what it smelled like in there.
We've all been in group masturbation
We've
sessions
all been there.
where we've stopped and gone,
Hey,
no, that's someone's,
there is
come
a
on,
smell.
guys.
Yeah, there is a smell
Someone's
in the room.
self-sabotaging this with a disgusting fart, and they need to own up.
Okay, so you've got the idea, you've got the co-host. How did the discussions go with NZME or iHeart? Like, how do you sell this to get this over the line? Was it?
Yeah, because I didn't tell them much, actually. I just said, I've got an award-winning idea. It's my baby. I know exactly, like, how to do this. I want full control. I want an all-woman team. This is what I need to make this happen. And they were like, I mean, they pretty much gave me what I wanted.
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, they trusted you. You've been on here before, and everyone loves you.
I guess my track record with podcasts was pretty successful already. So,
Trainee sexologist we're talking about here, the huge smash hit, 2 seasons.
Yep, my first little potty,
Yeah.
which is cool to sort of have as part of my sexologist journey. So I've felt so supported by NZME. They have been amazing. And, I give them kudos as well, because it is a brave thing to go, okay, you're going to make a sex podcast. Okay, here you go for it. And, yes, I had a few fights with the legal team, and one day our episode we were at a Mexican standoff.
Oh my
Am I
God.
allowed to say that these days?
Sure.
Okay. Arriba!
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Okay, shit, sorry.
But it was Wednesday, hump day, release episode day, and we were like, where's the episode? And we were at a standoff because Morgan wouldn't budge on including something that was really important. And they were like, we can't. And we said, well, no episode then.
Really?
Wow.
Did it
And
end
Morgan
up,
won.
Are you able to say what the part was? We don't have to.
God, no, I can't even
Or which
remember.
episode it
I can't remember.
was.
No, I can't remember. I actually can't
It
remember.
was around the use of a certain word.
Cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it, eh?
Was it?
I think. Well, that was one legal debate
That
we
was
had.
one big legal thing.
Was referring to it as a cult, and they
Yeah.
could come out and be like, that's not what it is.
Yeah. That was one piece. I think this was something else, but I can't remember. Yeah.
So, Hayley, for you, you've agreed to be on this show and you speak about your partner, Aaron, quite a lot in it. What did the conversation go with him about your sharing so much of your life?
Do you know what's funny is I did actually set aside a good amount of time to talk to Aaron about it, because I talk about Aaron, he's like a character on our radio show, and I talk about him and it's almost like he's a character and not a real person as well. Like I leave out enough, and I share enjoyable things, but he's a man who really loves his privacy. So I was like, oof, like I know that I want to be open and share my experiences on the podcast because I think that was important. I was like, how do I do that while still allowing him to have a private sex life? So we had a big talk about it, and he set some pretty clear boundaries in terms of like what he's happy for me to share and not share. I try to make it about my experience of our sex life and not his, and he's pretty been happy with it so far. There hasn't been any time that he's been like, why'd you say that?
Yeah.
So part of the education piece of the podcast was the home play idea, which is where Morgan pitches ideas and you take it into everyday life. Was that always on the table from the very start as well?
Yeah.
So you had to kind of navigate
and then share my experience
mentally
of it.
through that though as well before you started doing it.
Yeah, totally. And definitely sometimes I'd always do the home play, but sometimes in reporting it back for the podcast, I'd dance around it a bit
Like Stephen with the masturbation question last time when we had...
Oh, bless that little innocent man.
You do a little dance, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You got a prep dancer and you find a way to get it out.
Yeah.
It's interesting about talking about your perception or your version of your sex life and not your partner's, because we actually talk a lot about, we do these speeches now about our podcast journey, and we always mention your episode of, the whole thing is like meeting the guest and encouraging them to be open and vulnerable, but you've got to meet them halfway. And we talk about the drive we had on the way up when we were discussing how much of our sex life we were going to reveal to our audience.
Right.
And framing it like that way about your experience and not speaking on behalf of your partner, I think is a really good way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just, I don't know. Also, it's like you can edit it. So I try to be as open as possible. And then there's always the opportunity to go, I think I might have crossed a line for Aaron there, and we'll cut that out or whatever.
I think you navigate it really well. You are very cautious, and you often say, I'm holding him in the highest regard, and, being very careful about that.
With that in mind, when you're hearing it for the first time and Morgan's talking about her experience of being, in your words, having your ass eaten in front of 50 people, is your heart dropping thinking about the home play for this week going, can we just break for a second here? Hang on.
A little bit. I think a few eps in, I was like, whoa, hang on. What could it be if that's what we're doing? Because I'm not going to the beach and getting him to...
Queen Street it was.
Find 50 people and have a munch. But I know that you... make the home play something that people actually do. Yes. So if it's something too outrageous, you're like, it's kind of just throwing it into the wind and knowing that no one's going to do it. So you're pretty good at that. Nothing has shocked me. The one that shocked me from season 1 that I found hard, and I actually ended up doing it with a friend who's like a peace-loving yogi, was the mind...
The heart-fucking.
Heart-fucking thing.
Vulva, penis, heart-fucking.
Yeah, I was like, that's not Aaron, and he's not going to do it. And even if he did, he's not going to let me talk about it.
Yeah.
So I just visited a friend and was like, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, and the way you approached it and explained it, and the way that you endorsed it as well was really great in the episode.
Yeah,
really great.
I mean, it was amazing. She really took that and ran with it and really made it her own, which I think is so important with home play, because it's not cookie cutter. Sex isn't cookie cutter for people, and you have to figure out elements that will work for you. And I try to make things user friendly, but sometimes they are a bit out there and push you past your comfort zone. But sex is just about connection, and you can do that with anybody. And don't we want to have really deep connections with whoever we're interfacing with?
The magic, like you talked about in the pod, is the humour. And I'm interested in the dynamic of how each episode was structured, because what I understand is you didn't know what she was going to say on each day. So you're reacting in real time to her experiences. So clever and so well done to capture those genuine reactions. How was that? What was that like for you? That must have been fun. You don't have to prep.
It's so fun. I love anything where you don't have to prep. Like this, I'm just turn up and you're ask a question and I'll answer it.
Yeah.
And which is exactly that thing. And I think yeah, all of those reactions are completely genuine. Like I feel like sometimes you say something's genuine, but it's totally fabricated, and you got to redo some things because someone bumped a mic, and you're like, oh, because now you lose the authenticity. Yeah. Whereas, yeah, I think we were just reacting in real time, and I am genuinely aghast at a lot of the stuff that Morgan is telling me because it's so far from anything that I would ever do.
So episode 1 drops and all of a sudden this thing just blows up. It's just the biggest, most popular podcast in New Zealand. What does it mean for you, Morgan? Because you've got the sexology practice and you've got your clients, and now all of a sudden, holy shit, everyone knows what you do. Like what is your life looking like after that first step?
I have never suffered from anxiety or really had a sense of what that feels like in the body. But oh my God, I really, really felt that. I felt like the world knew who I was, which they didn't. But I felt so exposed, so vulnerable. I'd also decided that, our podcast image should be me in a bra and a little mini skirt and high heels, and then I didn't get told by NZME, but they put us on a big digital billboard outside and also in reception, and then I just walked in that day and saw my breasts in a bra like everywhere, and I was like, oh my God. And a guy I was dating at the time, I tried to kind of tell him a little bit about what the podcast was about, but yeah, my life just felt like it had been blown open.
I think as well, like you didn't know, like the sex school didn't know that this was happening really.
No.
And so that was a lot of anxiety around like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Are they going to sue you? Are they going to come for you? Are they going to...
Did they?
Yes. They definitely, from multiple angles, came at me.
Right.
Yeah.
Did it get ugly and uncomfortable?
It did become uncomfortable, but I had to back myself and really, I had covered my butt. Do you know what I mean? Like I had really been careful about what I had agreed to when I went there, and I just kept pushing back on that. And I think what's hard in those spaces is there's these people that are very passionate about what they're doing and they're all peace, love and light and for the bigger picture of the world. And so more than anything, I didn't think they were going to legally take me because I hadn't actually crossed any legal boundaries, but it was this like, you've broken the code of like the space and spirituality and sex, and you've crossed it, or you've done damage, And I was like, no. So, there was that piece that I was navigating as well, but that's such a strong community. Now I've been like ousted from that community where there were bits of that community and some people in there that I really loved and respected the work they were doing. But unfortunately that's just kind of closed the door on that.
Yeah, did you get response from other people on the course who reached out, and did they enjoy it?
They loved it. Everybody that was on my course loved the podcast. And actually, I don't know if you remember that episode where I talk about the biggest inner
penis
labia
you've ever seen. Oh, sorry, the labia, yeah. I was like, we talk about long schlong a lot.
Yes. But yeah, I talk about this episode where I see this inner labia that's huge, and I just weep and weep because, I spend a big portion of my work life yoni mapping, which means I go internal into vaginas, and I see lots and lots of labia, and that is the number one concern for women. Are often like, am I labia big? Is it like, what do you think? What can you tell me comparatively? And I'm like, oh my God, they're like snowflakes. They're all different. They're all beautiful, But when I saw this woman's labia, I just wept for all women, really, and our rejection of our genitals because of this. And so I was really, really moved. And I had 3 different women message me saying, were they my labia?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Was I the powerful labia?
Yeah.
Wow.
And none of them were.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's...
It was quite amazing.
Well, yeah. One of the other things that stood out for me was the participant that had suffered sexual abuse, and you discovered it through one of the exercises that you were doing. And it made me think like how lucky they were to have you as their partner in that exercise and to be able to navigate that particular situation, because you describe it in the podcast that it could have gone horribly, horribly wrong.
For those listeners who don't know what you're talking about, are you able to just frame what that is?
Yeah, and I will just say a little content warning here, just in case that is uncomfortable to hear about a little bit of sexual trauma. The exercise was putting a finger internally into another person. If it was a vulva owner, putting it into a vagina. If it was a penis owner, putting it into their anus and touching the prostate, or if it was the vulva, the G-spot. And they called this the sacred spot ceremony. And
A beautiful name.
That's a good name.
what's funny, is we're all you just get paired with somebody randomly. They do a nature selection. It's random who you get paired with. Then they're kind of talking you through how to do it on the microphone as you're there, nude, massaging. Like, okay, now this step, do this. And to me, I was going, what the hell is going on? Like all these people that are not trained in this area, putting fingers inside people. Like, what the hell? Gloves were optional, which to me, that's like the first piece of safety. And so I just kind of stopped following what they were telling you to do, and I just honed in on this guy who I could see was starting to really freak out. His body was having a full body reaction, and I said, hey, we don't have to do this, and is there anything you want to share? And that is when he disclosed that he had been sexually abused for years as a child, and he'd never told anybody about that or had therapy. And it was terrifying for him to have something put back into his anus that was in that sort of sphere. So it was guiding him through that, creating safety in the body, and then eventually he actually chose that he did want to have that finger in. And
I think on listening back when you made it to the end, you kind of came away with some confusion about how you felt about it. And part of it was the secrecy going in, that you didn't know what it was going to be. And then it was often exercises like these where you felt like people were didn't really have a voice to say no because everyone else was doing it and it was really hard to speak up. So if it wasn't for you, then that could have gone really pear-shaped, which was really interesting.
Yes, and actually that was one piece that the sex school came back to me about. They were like, of course he was paired with you because that's how nature selection works. People, if they find the right people. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. So as this thing grows and each week it's getting bigger and bigger, what's the personal effect for you, Hayley? Like, are the DMs coming in more sexually charged now?
Do you know what's interesting is like...
Sorry about that.
You're a bit slurpy. Do you know what's interesting? Because you mentioned like right at the top about how your audience, like, you weren't sure how they'd go with Morgan's episode of that content, and then you were quite surprised by their response. We were sort of the same. Like, we were comparing DMs and sharing them, and like most of my followers, and I think a lot of it's because like PCOS and I've already been like always been quite an outspoken person about body positivity, blah, blah, blah. All women were like coming in and being like, I'm loving this and I love this. But we'd have like men texting in who were excited to explore something new, or people that you were like, oh yeah, this is someone who's been like sitting on something or hiding something for ages, and we were like, oh my God, like this podcast is really like impacting them. And that was cool because like we wanted to make an awesome, entertaining, informative, fun podcast, and then you get these responses that are like, this is really like blowing my mind and like really opening up a lot of things for me. That was cool, eh? Yeah,
that's when like, because you can feel out of touch, right? You don't know how it's being received, but when people share those intimate stories of how it's directly impacting them or changing their sex life or changing how they communicate with their partner, I mean, that is actually ultimately why we do this.
Yeah.
And so that is like heartwarming to the max.
There was like different levels. There was those levels of like this depth that I wasn't even anticipating. And then there were other things being like, have you seen the penis? Like, does she show you a photo of the penis? And I was like, no, I have not seen the penis.
Was that the number one asked question?
It was pretty like, we did an Ask Us Anything episode for EP 10, and we had to like crawl like through all the people being like, can we see the penis?
How big
Are you
is
still
the
with
penis?
Long Shalong? Can we see the penis? No, you can't see the penis.
Yeah. The other one is P&V, like the chat that goes on. You say, it's a P&V.
I know,
P&V, and
I
then finally
know.
get your release.
People always messaging me being like, I know, when's she going to put the P in the V?
Because it was real time as well, right? Like is the process you record a number, then you release a number, and then you're recording as they are being released? Is that how it
We
works?
had a few up our sleeve, eh?
Yeah.
We're a little bit ahead.
Yeah. I lied to Long Schlong and told him that they're all in the can when I told him that I was doing it, just so that he couldn't, it was done.
Couldn't meddle.
Yeah.
Couldn't affect the process.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it was pretty much in real time.
Yeah.
And so what about you, Morgan? You've got this practice like we spoke about, and then after it's finished, like it must be overwhelming the number of people that want to work with you. What sort of guardrails are you putting up to navigate that?
Yeah, it's so funny because I talked to my manager, I've got a talent manager, and I said to him, when I told him, like, this is the podcast idea I want to do, and he was like, yes, that's amazing. And then when I started bringing it together, I was like, oh my God, I'm freaked out. Nobody's ever going to want to work with me again. Like, clients, you know, if they hear that I have had my ass eaten in front of 50 people, who's going to want to come and see me? And he's like, everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's having their ass eaten
If they hear
behind
that you
closed
gave
doors.
the best blowjob known to man.
Did sound like a good blowjob. to be fair.
Yeah,
like
and
a great blowjob.
I need to jump on this
Jump
point.
into the
I need to jump on this
blowjob,
point now, where you guys were talking about reverence in the male excitement at climax. And making a noise and a song and dance.
Yes.
That's the golf ball. That is
Oh,
the golf. That's the golf ball. Is
Right.
like you've got it out and it's done.
For context there, for those who haven't listened to the previous episode with Morgan, Seamus was asked to explain describe what an orgasm feels like for him. And he said it's like when a golf ball comes out of a hose pipe.
which
Thank you.
it sounds painful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you know, I've asked men before what it feels like because, like, the like.
Did they go straight to sporting analogy?
No, not sporting, but like for women, it's just the greatest
Oh
thing in
my
the
God,
world,
it's a
and we know it's
wave
better
and-
than yours, and so that we're like, sure, we get periods and pregnancies and stuff, but we get the better orgasm.
Yes.
I remember asking someone, and they didn't want to be a father, and we were using contraception. But I said to them, what is that moment? And he was like, there is an animal thing, and in my head, I'm almost going, I'm putting a baby in you. And I was like, wow. Like, receive my seed. I was like, I sort of understand that.
The inner caveman.
Yeah.
Like,
Even though if you did put a baby in me, that would be a terrible thing in that moment.
Yeah.
But the feeling is just like seed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That is primal.
Yeah.
don't think I haven't noticed the golf balls in the studio. By the
Little
way.
Easter eggs there. Yeah, a little nod.
Sicko.
A little nod. Okay, the seedy side of the DM, because you do talk about the incredible blowjob that you get, and I imagine that
Give.
isn't con.
Give. Well, she got it as well.
Yeah, both ways.
I feel shy.
But
yes.
I can imagine there was a seedy side that comes through as well. Did you get much of that?
No.
Really?
This is so strange to say, but no. I have had nothing that is disrespectful or gross or like a blatant sexual
Can I have one?
advance.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
'Cause
that
I just
astounds me.
yeah. I don't
Have you
know.
checked both the inboxes? Because sometimes
You've gone to requests?
yes,
It's a the third
15,000.
tab along. It's
just-
requests.
I don't know if it's like an energetic boundary or the fact that I also have this kind of don't fuck with it. Like I'm not talking about this stuff in a like
Pornographic,
This
yeah.
is for everybody. Come on in. This is definitely not an invitation. I don't think I do that with anything I put out in the world. Even, my Instagram's full of, lingerie shots. And no, I don't. Isn't that weird?
It's so weird.
It makes sense though, because you are so clear with what you will accept and your lines and consent and all this stuff. Like anyone that's listened to it or seen your post, they are structured or tailored in a way which just has your values right there. Like you're just not going to
True.
entertain it at all.
Yeah.
it's a real strong brand that you've built
yeah.
in that regard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's another sex therapist in New Zealand that I follow, and she's recently talked about how she gets a lot of unsolicited, like dick pics and rude stories. I don't get anything like that.
Do you flirt the line with like getting banned on Insta with any of your
yes,
your
I'm
stuff?
shadow banned all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can I? This occurred to me when we were driving up, and then you've been speaking about it, and I can't really sit on it. And it's around your. It's around.
Anything
All right,
if you
man.
put your
Now,
mind
now
to
we
it.
started.
No, it's around your brand.
Just
and
take
actually,
a breath.
and actually- it's around your brand. Who snorted?
Next time.
No, it's around your brand, but also knowing you as a person and knowing what you stand for. When I got to, I think, episode 8, oh God, I feel sick to my stomach now. I actually had to stop listening because I was like, maybe read between the lines, but I could tell there were some elements of where you were that you maybe weren't comfortable with. And I was getting incensed as a listener, being like, I don't feel like she should be in that position. And it was like, and then I told Stephen, I haven't finished season 1, but I've just found myself like, I don't want to listen to this anymore because it doesn't make me feel good about your experience on your behalf. So I haven't finished it. And kind of unpacking some of maybe what you've said before about stuff that you left out and bits and pieces is like, I feel quite good about that decision in myself because of my respect towards you and what you do and how you do it. Fucking shaking like a madman.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because I can feel this as a vulnerable share, and I can tell that you were moved. And like one part of me is like, I'm so great that the podcast could give you and incite those feelings, but also it feels like a genuine care coming from you, almost like a protective, like
Like a brother.
Yeah, like a really caring, like I don't want to listen to this. Like
Yeah, that's my truth. So yeah. I couldn't finish it.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just had to say that. I feel like I was sitting here going, should I say this? Nah. Yeah, I will.
I've heard it from a couple of people. I know that Fletch, who's our mutual friend, and I don't know, he's like quite reserved emotionally, but he struggled with it as well because he's known you his whole life. And he's like, and not just like, I don't need to hear about her doing sex things. Just like, it is a lot for people, especially when you know them and you've got respect for them and you're unable to hold it at arm's length, I guess. Probably just a bit too close to it to like finish.
Yeah, but
To finish the podcast.
nice release of the moment. Nice use of humour. But yeah, that was and I appreciate the work that you're doing in that space and shining a light on it as well. Like I'm not dismissing that, but for me, it was like, it's a bit too close to home, and I feel discomfort on your behalf.
Yeah. It's. I think that feeling of discomfort is really interesting because if I was your therapist in this moment, I would be going into that because there's probably some juice in there as well. You know, like I can see how there was the caring and the protective piece, but there's probably something underneath that as well. Just saying.
Wow.
Nice.
Tempted to keep going into therapy, but I think
The wait list is too
I'm like,
long.
do
I have to wait until like May, June, right? Because it's been overwhelming in terms of a business opportunity for you.
Yes. Yeah, it has been like the best marketing a gal could ever have, turns out, sitting in your bra on a big billboard is good.
We should look into that for our next.
You absolutely should.
I think it's actually provided an extra safe place because people know they will not be judged because they've heard me do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned is that people want someone who has been on the coalface and isn't just like an old woman who has just read theory and is a sexologist by trade and isn't actually out there living it and having a lived experience of it. And I can give literal hands-on tips and understanding and advice and I feel grateful that people would actually trust me in that realm. You know, it's such a sacred space for people to share and invite me into their worlds.
It is really special what you've created. I want to talk about season 2, which is really exciting. But before then, we're just going to take a little detour into the year in between. And we're going to go in a non-sexual related theme because I really wanted to talk to you, Hayley, about the Jason Momoa interview.
Is that non-sexual? Because it's extremely sexual for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't think of it like that. I did. Yeah.
You must have watched a different clip, mate.
I mentioned it to you, I think we saw after the radio awards, and I was like, that was so good because there was such hype build up around you interviewing this guy, you know, who you'd sort of like portrayed as this, you know, your favorite man ever.
Yeah.
Aaron aside.
Nope.
But then to deliver on the hype, like so much expectation, and then that thing went huge.
I know.
What was
that?
Do you know,
like? I really felt that pressure too. Like it was all sort of fun and games. And I mean, I genuinely feel that way about Jason Momoa. I'm very obsessed with him. He's so delicious. And then the moment that I knew he was in the country, and I kept saying to the boys, like, guys, like, I know that like the radio way is to like surprise or like prank me, or like I'm in the studio one day and he just walks in, and I was like, I need you to know that'll make me really uncomfortable because I want to look hot. I want to look like well put together. I just want to get my like head into place. And so Vaughn was like, I've got a code word. And if I just text you this code word, it means that Jason's coming into studio. And I was like, it really let the pressure off of me. Yeah. And then obviously that's not what happened because we couldn't get to him. And then suddenly we could. And they were like, it would be great to surprise her that she's interviewing him, but she'll have a day to prepare for it so that I'm not just getting chucked in and whatnot. And then, yeah, the pressure was on, and I usually do well under pressure, but I genuinely had no idea how it was going to go. I had no idea if I was going to be able to say a sentence or if I was going to embarrass myself or if he was going to be a dick, if he was going to be tired and over it and like everyone wants to go in with a fun, kooky angle, you know what I mean? And I was like, all the women are going to be flirting with him, da-da-da-da. So I felt extreme pressure. And then it was only afterwards that it had gone well that our boss, Ross boss, had said to me like, Hayley, it would have been fine either way. Like had it have gone terribly, that would have also been great content.
Yeah.
Had it have ended with you sitting on his lap and him telling you you're perfect, also great content. Yeah. So yeah, I felt the pressure, but I think in that moment, the pressure created a diamond, but it could have gone the other way for sure. Like I was told he was hungover, he was tired, he's in a hot room on his own, he's sick of it, he's over it. Everyone's coming in with their quirky shit and he's a bit grumpy. And I was standing outside the room being like, well, fuck, and I'm wearing a tight leather skirt and like 2 pairs of control undies and I'm like, want him to think that I'm cute and all this kind of shit. And I talked to the security guard and he was really like a lovely guy and he just sort of put me at ease. And I just walked in and it was like a fireball of energy and it was the wildest thing.
Timing wise, was that pre or post embracing your slut on stage for the show?
That was like literally the week.
Right.
It was my show where I embraced the slut on stage was Tuesday to Saturday.
Which is a callback to season 1.
Season 1. And the Saturday was my closing night of my show. And that morning I interviewed Jason.
Because it's the same skirt?
Same skirt.
Yeah. Attention to detail.
Leather skirt, yeah.
But you didn't give him permission to eye the goods.
I didn't give him permission to eye the goods, but I did sit on his knee and, yeah.
Just back to that energy on stage. Is that something that you've continued?
100%.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Which
is a takeaway from the Sex.Life podcast experience.
Yeah, hang on. This is interesting. I don't know if I can show you. Oh, wrong phone. Okay, well, I've got a new show and I did a photo shoot and I can't tell you what the show's about or like give you any info about the show, but the show photo shoot that I did is like a piss take of one of those old erotica novels, you know, like with like the maiden lying with like the wind in her hair. And I did that and I was like, I would have never done this if it hadn't have been for like my work with Morgan. The boobs
hot, by the way. Oh my God.
They're outrageous.
I would have
So they get their own poster.
Her. Yeah.
So that work has most definitely continued.
Yeah, and have you like that whole confidence element into all aspects of your professional career post that? Is that a thing or have I
think I've always had an underbelly of it. Like I've always sort of pushed body positivity even when I'm not practicing it. And I've always been quite an open person, but definitely like it's amplified. And especially things like, when I talk about it on the first podcast, like gaining weight and your body changing and that changing how you see yourself as a sexual woman. And that's definitely changed quite a lot, eh? I even got invited to an undie party and I was like, hell yeah, but I couldn't go because my dad was in town cock blocking me.
Nearly. Next time.
Yeah.
I think this is a nice place to tie in season 2. So first season is a huge hit. Everyone wants you to do season 2. There's obviously a lot of pressure to continue, but are you straight away when season 1's finishing thinking about the next idea, and what can you tell us about what it is?
Yes. Well, actually, I contractually had to do season 2.
Oh, right. Okay. The two season deal.
But I wanted to, you know, I think it's important. And I guess, you know, literally I knew it was a golden egg, like that season 1. But you still don't know how it's going to be received. And so the response shocked us both, you know, like we were, wow, okay. And I think that just it cracked open my heart because I was like, the world's ready, you know, like the sex positivity. All right, the door's open. Like, I'm going to kick it open next time. Like, let's keep going. So yeah, for me though, it was the same premise. I'm not just going to smash out another podcast for the sake of doing it. And I don't want to do podcasts like every other sex podcast I hear, which is this kind of either slutty, which there's nothing wrong with slutty, but this kind of crass, just vulgar, like, I fucked this guy, I did this, it's, you know, or just a very dry educational sex thing, or interviewing sex guests or, you know, sex experts. To me, snorefest, great. So, yeah, I just thought.
And you also didn't want to go back to sex school to do their second year course.
No.
Turn it up.
I didn't.
Me again.
I did not want to put a carrot up my genitals, which is what happens on that level 2.
Oh.
So but actually,
Is that pre-described in the prospectus? Like,
no,
Carrot day 6.
that's a secret that's been leaked.
Okay.
oh wow.
Yeah. There's memes about it actually. I know.
Man, yeah.
Wild.
It's getting my protective up.
Yeah.
Sorry, darling.
No, that's all right. I really have grown to love carrots in my new meal plan. So.
I know. They're so good for you.
Yeah, they are.
They're so good, so tasty.
When they're ingested orally.
When they're in the mouth. Yeah.
But the reaction from season 1 is what inspired season 2, which was people were so shocked that this rural sex school was actually happening in New Zealand and that nobody knew about it. And I thought, well, there is so much that people do not know that is happening out there in Aotearoa, just behind the bakery, you know, literally in car parks.
Which bakery?
In the name of this bakery.
I'll send
And
it
how
to
is
you.
their mince and cheese pie?
Delicious, creamy.
Okay, because I'm going to want one afterwards.
Yeah. So that's what I thought. I thought, well, let me tell you what else is on offer. And if you are curious about diving into the world of something more than just your 9 to 5, you know, bedroom antics, what can you do?
Yeah, because you weren't out there to like expose everything. It was just like, what is happening?
Yeah. What's happening out
Yeah, good, the bad, the ugly.
And without knowing any of season 2, but when you introduce yourself into those environments, does your reputation now precede you? Do people see you
I
walk in
thought
and
the same.
go,
I was like,
oh, fucking
you're going to walk in and be like, here she is.
put the carrots away, guys.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Some parties, some events that I went to, people did know who I was and let me know. But other times, you know, I think I was just there as me and I was accepted because I guess it's not a weird place for me to be at a sex club. Like a sexologist kind of course, fits into a sex club or a swingers party or at the Brat Olympics. You know, like it's not too foreign.
What's the Brad Olympics?
Is that an anagram? Not an anagram. What's the other thing? Acronym.
No, it is literally a kink party, and the kink is brat, which is
Not those dolls.
Big-eyed dolls.
that is what it's been modelled off, which is actually quite sick. They've given a kid's doll a brat, which in the kink world, a brat is someone who is dressed like a kid, who acts like a kid, stomps around,
Little shit.
Defies their parent or their dom or master in this world. And so, this Brat Olympics was the inaugural Brat Olympics of New Zealand that I went to. And
I got questions.
Yeah, I've got so many questions. What?
I know.
Where?
I know.
Is it like a decathlon or a heptathlon with like multiple disciplines?
Are there javelins?
There is a whole list of challenges.
Okay, so
things
there's
that you have to do to win, and there were medals and
Like a stag do on fucking cocaine.
Yeah.
I can't say too much because Hayley and I haven't recorded that episode yet, so
And I don't
she
know
doesn't
anything
know
about
anything about this.
Shit, cat
So
out of
you
the bag.
Yeah.
You know as much as us.
I know the name Brad Olympics because she just said it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all
Okay.
going onto the dark web after this.
This was my next question. So the new season is the same structure as the first, where you are going to present these different things to Hayley and she's going to react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You do tease a little bit. Like even in Ep 1, I say, what's happening this season? Because Ep 1 is out and you say, like, list off a number of things. And there's one thing you list that I was like, two questions. No, well, two things happen. One, my jaw just like hits the floor. And two, I ask if it's tax deductible. Because it's a business expense.
Yeah.
She's researching for business.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know nothing again. I turn up and I was super curious. I was like, how much can she do? You know, like it was so perfect, the structure of season 1. Each day is a day at sex school. We don't want her to go find another one. Because I was like, what does she do? Because I didn't know there was so much going on. And then one of the episodes, you do about 4 different things. And I was like, oh, wow, there's so much happening.
There's so much happening out there.
It's a weird dynamic with you and your co-host, but you're in control and she doesn't know. Like, are you bouncing these ideas off other people? Like, whose guidance
What's
do you
your
look
sounding
for?
board, yeah.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
gave the sounding board?
It was interesting because for season 1, I held it all to myself. I didn't tell anybody anything. Nobody knew what I was up to. And our poor producer then would have to listen to this episode and go, oh my God, I'm going to take that straight to legal. Oh my God, I've got a week to turn this around. How am I going to do this? This time I've told Helen, our producer, and I actually wanted her input because there's a new character, a new sort of romance for me in it.
Bigger dong.
Could it be bigger? That's the question.
No, impossible. Absolutely impossible.
Longer schlonga, we call him, instead of long
I love the
schlong.
names, by the way. I love how you had a new name
Thicker
for each
Ricker.
episode.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh my
God.
Brought him in to bloody help name him.
Oh, dear. Where have I gone?
Brilliant. Okay, it's
Yeah.
going to be awesome. What's the feeling like putting it out again? Like, do you have those same feelings of anxiety, or are you more comfortable that this is going to be well received?
You
Well,
go.
I can tell by our messages, these little mini panics that Morgan has. She walks in like, is it enough? I don't know. Or we need to redo that again. I don't know about that, but I'm not sure. Oh, what's the thing? Because there is now an even bigger expectation that, you know, you're going to go so far and do so much and it's going to be so wild and everything. So I can definitely tell you've got anxiety about it. Whereas I now, having done season 1 and have been working with you, I've got no anxiety.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly just the first episode, right? I feel like so many boxes need to be ticked. You need to be slapped between the eyes. You need to have the hook. You need to feel emotionally invested.
What's
you
your
need to feel
slap?
something.
What do you call it?
Oh, the red dragon.
The red dragon.
The red dragon when you're like dick slapped. Have you guys ever dick slapped?
We need a red dragon in our audience with
Yeah.
step 1.
Yeah?
Have you?
Yeah.
How
I
did
haven't
that
called
go?
it a red dragon.
Oh, what have you called it?
I didn't have a name.
It was just an impulse.
Did they want it or did you just out
yeah,
of the blue?
it was consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yes, that makes me feel
that.
tough.
I'd have to be real close. Super close.
You'd already be sort of thighs touching.
Yeah.
That's okay. That
Like a
still
red
works.
feather touch or something.
Absolutely. It's not all about
I'll take
that.
it. Like, yeah. I love a good dick slap.
We've got
dear.
we've got a bunch of questions to get to soon, but just before then, how's it changed your dynamic? Because we've
God.
noticed that, you know, I mean, you guys were loosely friends and now it's sort of business partners. We've noticed on our journey it changes and like these intense messages and it becomes quite businessy. How is it with you guys at the moment?
It's pretty powerful.
It's such a beautiful word.
Hey, it is pretty
Yeah.
like, it's like a soul connection. It's really deep. And we bring Helen into that as well. Like we have this empowered Posse chat and it goes so
EPP.
beyond EPP. We need a little like gang sign for EPP.
You'll know me.
And
Pussy.
y'all know me. And like the podcast is, I would say, 10% of our chat. And now it's just, it's life, it's love, it's laughter, it's memes, it's so deep.
Yeah, we genuinely care about each other of all facets of life. And, you know, like we went to a wedding together recently and, you know, I was wearing no undies, no bra,
It was
classic.
sweltering hot.
And she was fanning herself down and I said, what have you got under that goddamn dress? Not what you normally wear. She's like, yes.
I had like the highest, biggest granny panty control undies, the like biggest cover bra. She was like, Hayley, I've had enough. Go take them off.
Get it off.
So So I went into like the portaloo at the wedding, came out, and me and our other friend, we came out like swirling our big undies, and then you got a bit hot, so I fanned your foo for a bit.
and I let it all hang out.
Yeah.
So we're in a I feel really lucky. Like it's like a sister. I feel like we've really deepened our friendship, which I don't know if we're both busy people and we could have just circled each other, in friendship groups forever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, chemistry's so important. The vibe is so good.
Yeah.
So good. Can't wait.
Feel it.
Can feel it. Right, you guys ready for the questions?
So these are from your lovely listeners.
We put
Did
out
you
a
guys
little-
get any? Because thank you for sharing yesterday on socials. Did you get any to you guys?
Well, you know me, I don't check my Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
Okay. All right, that's cool.
No, because I linked your box. So I think they came over to your
came to our
box
box.
rather than right into straight to my box.
Okay.
I just had lots of people be like, "Oh my god, I can't wait."
Yes,
Oh,
same.
nice.
People are excited.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Great
How
forces
good.
uniting.
Yeah.
I reckon. Right. Okay.
How are we going to do this?
Start-
We're going to go one for one?
Yeah, we'll go one for one.
Tit
All right.
for tat.
So the first question was, and you can both answer. I don't know. They're not directed to anyone in particular.
And if you have any
whoever-
supplementary questions or anything you want to throw back across the table,
Okay.
Ooh.
you got to give to get.
Yeah,
you got to give to get.
It's tit and it's tat.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do you help a man get out of his head and into his heart when it comes to sex? Most young men our age wouldn't even know what that means or feels like.
Oh my God, what a beautiful question. Out of his head and into his heart.
Oh my god!
I'll pass it to the
so,
expert.
So beautiful. Well, I think we could all share. This is a lived experience, right? As well, if you've been intimate with a man, or you are a man, or But I guess from a professional perspective, I would sort of say, firstly, you have to have a deep awareness of your heart, and that's not hard. You can just start like full placement of awareness there, direct breaths into the heart, and to get out of your head, you have to be in the body. You have to have a sense of your body. So it's doing embodiment practices, which could be like 5 minutes a day. Like even right now, if I just like drop into what I can feel in my body, I can feel my foot on the ground. I can feel my pantyless bum on the chair. I'm sorry, I'm in a short skirt. It's ridden right up and my fuffle valve's on the
On the chair.
Fuffle valve. And that's in the glossary of terms.
It's on the polyester.
Yeah, like I can feel the temperature of the air on my skin. I can drop in to actually feel my lungs expanding with each breath. Now I'm in my body. So from that place, you can feel more of what's happening to the body. And that's not hard to just quickly drop in and do a little checklist of what's actually happening around you. And then I guess from that embodiment place, it's about connecting to the other person as well, like feeling in for them and what they might be going through as a human, as a sexual being, connecting in that moment. And I think men as well, they hold a lot in. So even by sharing, I think some women that sleep with men think that men don't want to talk about these things or talk during sex or share what they, might be into. And actually, for a man to be vocal in that space is so refreshing to share how they're feeling in their body or their heart or asking how that woman's actually feeling or,
It's hot.
It's really nice. So I think just that a little bit of bravery of sharing and opening up, or even if saying in that moment, God, I feel so in my head, breaks because you kind of feel it. You can feel it if someone's a bit disconnected in their body or out of there or somewhere else. And so just naming it, God, it changes everything. You can go, oh, God, okay, me too. I'm worried about what you're going through. And okay, well, let's have a hot smooch for a minute and just melt into each other and then start again and see what we're into.
Like that.
I was going to say that. I was actually going to say all of that.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
crazy because those words were literally forming in my mouth. They're about to come out.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to that is laughter. We talk about this a lot.
Nice.
And we love comedy with our sex. And we should be laughing more in sex.
Yes.
That would be my thing. It is funny what we're doing. Two bodies smashing together is humorous. There's fluids, there's bits, there's noises moving, all this.
Yeah.
You got to laugh. Like we watch sex scenes in movies and we think that they should be so organic and like intense
Yeah.
and perfect. And it's like,
beautiful
it's not.
moments. No.
Nah, you've
Let
got
it
to
be
laugh.
messy.
Let it be messy and let it be silly.
yeah.
Another question. My partner won't self-pleasure without me being involved. It's like she feels guilty or something. Help.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God,
such a
I'm
thing.
living my era of self-pleasure at the moment.
Oh my God, she's rampant.
Yeah.
Rampant. I came off the contraceptive pill and I was reminded about horniness.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's so cool. I don't know if you would have spoken like this before.
Maybe not.
Would you?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah. But
it's-
there's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And every time I talk to you or we're in these conversations, like the whole thing of normalizing that. Everyone does it. Like,
Totally.
why is it so secretive?
I know. I had a friend admit to me the other day that she's never masturbated, and I was like,
Oh, gosh.
what a crime. It's literally, sometimes if I masturbate, I'm like, God, we're lucky. As human beings, that we could just literally, like any of us in this room right now could just pop off and just have like the best moment ever.
Yeah.
And then just go back about our lives.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And it's sad to me to hear that people don't do it because they feel guilty, you know, like that guilt piece.
Yeah.
It's a big thing I actually see. And especially people that aren't having a lot of sex with their partner, they actually feel like then they shouldn't go and do time with themselves because they're like, oh, well, if I'm doing something sexual, it should be going towards my partner. But actually, you can still have desire in your body and it's all for you, you know, like, and it's your self-responsibility, like to not put it on to somebody else either, you know, if that other person's not into it. And it's the most beautiful self-expression of love. Like it is, yeah, but it's a hard thing if that is conditioning from, like, say, religion or
Yeah.
parents, your upbringing, like that's really quite a hard one to break.
Because clearly the
yeah.
person that's messaged you guys wants their partner to
Yeah.
enjoy herself, himself, whoever. You know, they're not putting up the boundary for them. Maybe buy them a little something. Maybe buy them a little toy.
Where would one get such a toy from? Is there any good places you could suggest?
I get
Wild
all mine from
Secrets.
wildsecrets.co.nz.
That's where your presents have come from today.
Oh, excellent. I will check out that website.
Okay, we got quite a range of questions. One of them actually didn't have anything to do with sex. It was just someone asking for some life advice. So he's written in, if at 40 your career hasn't panned out the way you thought it would, is there any shame in just taking a mundane job and spending the rest of your life trying to be a good dad?
Do you know, oh my God, do you know, I literally had this conversation with a friend recently that was like, fuck, I'm in my 40s and I'm like sort of starting over and I don't know what I want to do for a job. And I was like, just get a job and make the rest of life your passion. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh. And I was like, lots of people do it. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
Just be a good dad.
It's the whole like live to work or work to live.
Yeah,
thing, right?
totally.
I love that someone's just like seen us as like an agony aunt episode. It's not.
We're so open.
Nah, just ask them.
Yeah.
Sticking on the 40 plus theme, I'm 40 plus and someone 20 years younger than me at work has the hots for me. I'm their boss. Is that a problem?
Yes. From a power dynamic position, that is, it's problematic. I mean, it can be navigated, of course, but it's messy. And I think really, like, if you're that 40 plus person,
Sell the business.
no, but you got to think about somebody, if they're half that age, like, what does that person know about themselves or about life, really? I mean, you think you do at that age, but you don't really. And I think there's a duty of care as the boss and as someone that's wiser and older, maybe not wiser, but you should have wisdom as you age, to protect that person and be like, this isn't right for us professionally or for, personally.
Keep it as a fantasy.
Yeah, I think no.
Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, really strong.
Strong.
Me and my partner have mismatched libidos. I want it all the time, and she does not. Help.
God, you must see that a lot.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest
most common
thing.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's be really frank about this. Like, for two people to have the same libido, and so just their sex drive, their hunger for sex, to be the same at the same time is unheard of. It's very
Living
strange.
libido loca.
Thank you.
It was so shit.
Ricky.
That was so lame. I'm sorry, Dad.
Laugh during sex. It's good.
Laugh,
See?
just keep
Yeah.
laughing. Keep laughing.
But so just to know that that's normal, but it is about almost like that self-pleasure piece. It's self-responsibility. Okay, you've got the higher sex drive. Have a good sex life with yourself. But there is so much that you can do that isn't just P&V sex as well. That can just be touching and intimacy and loving and yeah, you don't need to be going full tit all the time.
Half tit sometimes, just one tit.
Yeah, and there's so many environmental factors that come into this when we're working with libido. Like, people often think it's like this mythical creature that might have lived in the body once and then it's gone, you know, but like Hayley with the hormone, like hormonal contraception, now she's off it. She's like, oh my God, I'm a horn dog. You know, so there's things like that. There's stresses. There's, you know, look at the context around what's happening with your partner and ask her what her needs are, you know, to feel like she wants to open more in her body.
I think that can be really hard, right? Just even that question, asking her what her needs are. I'm thinking about my relationship, like just even that question.
Tiptoeing into it, eh?
It's kind of like once the door is open, then you're in, but it's just hard to
broach the subject. I know, but the thing is that once that hard conversation has happened, you keep that as a revolving door, you know, because this is what gets us in trouble. And I think this is an important question to have in early dating even. It's like, what is your hunger for sex? How much of a value do you place on sexual encounters? Because you do have a sense of yourself, and yes, it does ebb and flow throughout your life, but you do kind of know if you've got a high sex drive or not. And then as a couple, you should know what each other are desiring and what is your dream number of sexual encounters during that week. And it doesn't mean that that's what happens. And obviously life and kids and jobs will factor into all of this. But it is about deciding as a team, is sex something we prioritize? And if it is, then you're gonna have to work on it. Like, this is not something that just happens and everybody wants spontaneous sex. Oh no, I'm not scheduling sex, I need it to be spontaneous. Well, fuck that. You're not going to go to the gym spontaneously, are you? Like, you've got to schedule that stuff in because that's the first thing that's going to go when your day's busy.
Is that what's happening? That's why I'm not going to the gym. I've just been like, well, it's just not happening. It just hasn't just been like happening.
Yeah,
You've got to schedule
happening?
it. Oh God,
I don't
make a
feel
plan
like that.
then.
Do you sit like opposite her when she's going like this and just be like, fuck, I've got the best seat in the house to some amazing advice. Like,
Dude,
I'm
unreal.
captivated off every word that's coming out of your mouth in terms of like
I know.
putting myself in the scenario and going, yeah.
It's so
okay. Makes so
valuable.
much sense.
And I think it's amazing. It's like I'm receiving it, but like you said, this is the free bit that you want to give people. This is free advice. I think we should be paying thousands for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So, I think
that'd be nice.
someone's got an inside line here. Morgan, can you tell us about cock worship with milk and honey?
Fuck, that's a direct question, isn't it?
Was that Daryl?
G'day, Daryl. Nice to hear from you, mate.
It's been a while. Yeah, well, I mean, cock worship, you can use anything. You don't even have to have any other equipment other than hands and a mouth, or either or.
Oh, I introduced you to the world of the grapefruit. Have you guys seen the grapefruit video?
Yeah, I knew exactly what you were talking about straight away.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
There's this woman
Okay,
who gives
make
like an
that noise.
online. She gives like an online tutorial about how to give a blowjob with a grapefruit.
Yeah.
And the noises are so fun. She's gobbling that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cock worship is a beautiful concept, though,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of so many women don't want to give gobbies, you know, or they're scared of not doing it right. And I just say, if you can actually look at a penis, look at the man that owns that penis and like love and worship this piece that actually is a pleasure giver, is a life giver, is this powerful piece of meat, you know, and actually look at it like that and feel into that and think about, wow, what an honor to be up close and personal with it. It changes how you interact with it. So it's about worshipping it, but it's about worshipping the person behind it.
What's the milk and honey?
Oh, that's just a little bit of fun. That just
It's a real Cleopatra theme.
Yeah, it is.
Egypt,
it just makes it a bit more
It
lush.
feels Egyptian.
Yeah, those Egyptian.
It
Yeah,
does.
they knew what they were doing back then. I think those pyramids put themselves up. Fuck no.
All right, I'm going to turn the question on you, Shay. We've got one come in about, was Seamus and Doc Brown, who's his girlfriend of 1 year now?
Yeah, 1 year plus.
When you recorded the first episode with Morgan, were you with her and what did she think about the golf ball analogy?
Yes, we were. I don't know whether that many people got the golf ball analogy at all, whether they were like with me or not.
Right.
We were early doors in a relationship, and I think there was probably a little bit of trepidation around like how much are you going to talk about us here. Which I don't think I was pretty good. I was pretty open about myself, but we were still in our kind of finding our groove phase. This is such a timely chat in terms of like refining that as well. Like, like what you to that piece before, you were talking about like what's your ideal number of interactions per week, or what does that look like? Where are your sex drives at? I think once you get through the honeymoon phase of a relationship, and then you're into like the mechanics of how that works, those conversations, they do get pushed downstream about intimacy and where things are at, and they're good to dredge back. Not dredge is a horrible word.
Dredge.
They're good to bring back up to make sure that you're kind of aligned.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I've gone off on a tangent about the question. Well, then the question was,
sounded like you had some stuff to say, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're 1 year.
1 year plus.
You guys are, Steve?
12 years.
Yeah, we're 13.
13. Yeah.
Does change.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, fast forwarding, would you have any tips on how to spice things up after being married for 10 plus years and sex seems like going through the motions and something that's not openly discussed?
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
me.
yeah, that's you, baby. You're up.
Work with a sexologist.
If you can start a podcast
If you could start a podcast where you get all these
in
like,
the
tips
space.
and stuff. God, what would I say? I mean, it's ebbs and flows. Like, I'm sure Aaron wouldn't mind me saying this, but like, we've had a really stressful couple of years. We've been renovating a house. We've been like fighting a lot, you know, like going through something really stressful. So like sex doesn't become a priority. And then you do it and you're like, God, that's great. We should do that more often. God, that was fun. I don't know. Mine's always just about being like playful. Well, I've tried the scheduling stuff before and it's like not quite my vibe. We're both like quite light, playful, performative people. So I think keeping it light and playful. But I think, you know, like you think about those difficult conversations, saying that to do that early and say, well, what do you like? I feel like it gets really hard later in life if you haven't asked those questions and you're so far down the road. It's almost like more awkward with someone you deeply love and you're like, I actually don't know if I know what you like. So it's just about being brave, I guess, to ask again and say, like, I want to do something different.
Yeah, I love that. And I think curiosity, like, because you think you know someone, you think you know what they like, you know, and it's like, no, we've all grown. We might not, you know, we might not have liked onions in our salsa back then, but now we do.
No, carry on
I
that.
can see your little excited face.
No, I was just thinking like there's almost, and I talked about shame with you last time, there's almost a shame in that, I think. If you have been in a relationship and you come to the party and you go, actually, I want to try this thing. There's almost like a guilt about, well, where the fuck did you get that idea from? What
I
have you,
know.
who have you been with? What have you been watching? Like,
Oh, so you've just been unhappy this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. And you're
Yeah.
like, no, my God, it's not personal.
But like that kind of, I'm thinking, putting myself into a situation where I'm having a conversation like that, and it's being like, oh, I wouldn't mind you putting a carrot in my, you know, in my back door. Where the fuck's that come from?
Yeah.
We've been together for 14 years, and you've been having them in salad the whole time. Like, if I'd have known, we could have saved the
Jesus.
cost of
We
living.
could have got a whole bag of them and divvied them up.
But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not that far down the line. But yeah, to bring something new to the table after so long, it must
have
be
you heard
confronting.
of, this is a bit of a sidestep, kind of, but have you heard of that app that couples can get? So my married friend who's been married for years, and they were getting a little boring, a little lackluster, kids involved, you know, all that kind of
Whoa.
stuff. And they'd had kids. They'd been married for years. It was getting a bit boring and they were not prioritizing sex. And so they got this app and you like, he's got it, she's got it. And you go in and you fill in a survey completely apart from each other, and you say like what you want to try. You click things, it gives you options like, oh fuck, I didn't think of spanking, but maybe, and you tick it. And if they kind of like Tinder, if you both click the same thing, then it kind of lets you know, and then you can kind of share as much of it or as little as as you like. So then you meet up with them and you're like, oh, you clicked spanking.
I'd heard a story that a man and a woman did this, and the woman just wanted to see what the man was into, so just swiped yes on everything, and then there was some stuff came through.
You manipulating
and then there's some stuff came through that she's like, what the fuck? You got really upset.
That entrapment. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
man,
you've got
That's
to
an outlier. That's an outlier. No, it sounds like a good idea.
But communication, right?
Yeah, and I think actually our podcast is good for that. And a lot of people have said, I've just listened to this podcast. We should listen to it together. And I have a lot of couples that will say, Wednesdays after work, we get together, we have a wine, we listen to the podcast, and we do the home play together. So I think that has been a really good tool for people that, I heard this on this podcast. It seems like a safe place, right? Because it is hard to broach these conversations. So I think we get blamed for a lot of kink.
Yeah, which is why this has so much power, and our audience wouldn't go searching this sort of stuff out. But if it's in their feed from a blokey podcast, they're not to, and then they stumble into some sex chat, they're like, this is a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, totally.
Ask my wife what she likes, how many times she wants to have sex.
Yeah.
For me, I had a bit of a light bulb moment. Again, don't think too much of this stuff until I'm preparing for something like this, and then it makes you sort of analyze what's going on in your own situation. So I think last time we met, I was on the verge of having my 4th child.
Yes.
So speaking about like stressful
You got to get a special car for that.
Yeah, I know.
Side door.
Yeah.
4 is where you get a side door.
Yeah. So last year was 4th kid, and we moved house, and we had the job and the podcast on the side, and it was just a lot. And it was almost like, I remember in the episode you were like, you got to keep those embers burning. You got to keep find a way to keep those embers burning. And I came away thinking, that's such good advice. Like, just do that. But then it's hard to do that. It's hard. And I was thinking, well, shit, have I kept those embers burning? And it's been a really tough year from it. Like, sex hasn't been a priority just because there's, 4 kids and the eldest is 7. All of your time is spent when you're not working, just sorting them out.
Herding,
yeah. And so it's, when I think of sex, I'm ready to go any time. Yeah,
you can
green
have the
light. I'm like a little flip the switch and I'm good. Like, I can go. But my wife, but Bon isn't like that.
Yes.
She needs the connection, and she needs to talk, and she needs time to connect.
Yeah.
And I put that, the word down as you're saying it, it's the disconnected element of it. It's like all of your time is just put into all these other things.
Totally.
It's when do you prioritize yourself? And it's having those first conversations, and it's sort of starting to we're not having any more kids, so this is starting to rebuild the rest of our life. But it just comes so easily once you start talking about it.
You just constantly forget, eh?
And so something on that which might be useful to like mention in this as a tool is relationship check-ins, which is where you put aside half an hour during the week where you'll go for a walk or you'll make dinner together or whatever, no phones, actually be able to have that time, which I know is probably half an hour is like the hardest thing to find with 4 kids. But you've got the same sort of 5 questions that you just ask each other every week, like how have we gone as a team this week? How could we love each other better next week? How are you feeling in your sexual body this week? Like, anything peaked up? Do you feel energized? Do you want try something wild? Like, what's going on for you? And then it just means that nothing gets missed. And it's just a little check-in, but it opens up a conversation. Yes, the first time you do it, it's gonna take a long time and it's gonna feel a bit clunky. But every week since then, moving forward, it's gonna be easy, and nothing is left to brew, and nothing unexpected. You can save it up for that chat, during the week as well, if there's other times that aren't appropriate to bring things up. But you're always got to gauge on the person. And then the sexual piece is there as well. Like, you're tapping in. It's the whole order, you've got to check in on all elements of your life and your body and your relationships and work. And the sex piece, to me, if you're, I often say this, like, how you do sex is how you do life. So it is an important piece. Like, if you're not feeling juiced up on life, you're probably not feeling juiced up for sex. There's a direct correlation here.
Fucking gospel, man.
I know.
It's so good.
Literally just then I was like, weekly check-in. That's genius.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of like renovations and house things. You're like, oh, I can find 30 minutes on a Friday night with a glass of wine.
Yeah. Fucking
Take a note.
But with no expectation of like the payoff immediately as
Yeah,
well,
that
right?
pressure, eh?
No.
Yeah.
You can do it on a walk. You can do it on a drive to pick up the kids when
The
they're
chat,
not
not
there.
the actual
Yeah,
sex.
no.
Although that was one of the home plays.
Doing it outside.
Was to get outside. And
Yeah,
do it
I know.
outside. We did the hair washing, the shower washing thing.
Oh my
Did
God.
you?
the home play.
Will you share?
How nice, eh?
Yeah, it was
How
really
was
nice.
it?
It was good. Yeah, it was great. Sorry. Mm-hmm. No, it was really good. It was really good. I thought I was quite good at hair washing, but it turns out I'm not.
And what were you doing?
I think
You're creating knots.
Doc just likes a specific way.
Right.
And I'm used to washing my own hair, which has got its own challenges. So I just
Yeah.
sort of get in there and I wasn't so sensual, maybe.
Did you allow her to just? Were you able to just surrender into it? Ah, good.
I do. To combine those two things, an outdoor shower is completely off topic, but it's just an amazing situation in a tiny home, escape getaway where you can just be outside in a monsoon shower.
We're going to put in an outside
erotic.
shower.
You should.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had the porta shower when we were renovating and we had joint showers in there because it was so miserable in there that it was the only way to get through it was to do it together so we could laugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is real fun being outside and having a shower.
Yeah, genius.
Yeah. Side thought, install an outdoor shower.
A couple more cues. This one, I'm not sure if it's a joke or some truth seeping through into a genuine question. Is it normal for a woman not to orgasm for a whole year while her partner silently masturbates in the shower facing the wall?
Oh, fuck, there is a conversation to be had there. Jesus.
You guys want to book in for a session with me? I think that's probably for the best day. Like,
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Not normal.
but passive aggressive there as well. You know.
there was a lot of backdoor themed questions
Yeah,
in the DMs.
From prostate owners, do you think?
A combination.
Okay.
A combination. And it kind of best summarised, what prep work can you do for anal sex?
It's such a question. I always think about this.
Oh,
because I've
great.
got so many gay friends and they've told me tales of when it's gone wrong and when you haven't done the right amount of prep.
Everyone knows the story.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, I know, exactly. And I'm always like, this feels like a lot of work.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does. It depends if people are freaked out about there being fecal matter involved. But, like, if you're venturing into that whole, hey, yeah, that's where poo comes out, so there might be poo. So let's just, like...
Put that out there.
Put that out there, okay. But also, poo doesn't just live in the rectum, you know? It's just not waiting there, bobbing around. Like, you know...
It's not in the channel.
No, you know if you need to shit. You know what I mean? Like, and if you have shat recently and you know your bowels well, then you know when you're clear. So actually, people doing all these hardcore douches and stuff is not necessarily needed. But if that's going to make you feel better, you can go to the chemist and you can buy a little enema and you can clear it out with water. And then really, it's about you need to have a really strong chat about what's going to happen here, about boundaries, about safety, about slowness, about what's going to really relax. And relaxation is the biggest piece to this, because what I love about the asshole is that you can't really override it. Like, you know,
I've heard that.
When it really puckers, it's fuck off, you know? And so, unlike the vagina, where it's sort of, you know, can, even if you're not in the mood, you can just allow something in. You know what I mean? But the asshole is like, absolutely not. That's what my asshole sounds like anyway.
Absolutely
Mine's got an
not.
accent. Mine's South African.
Yeah, right. There's nothing, don't you dare put that in me.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Fuck off.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, like butt massage, like around that area to just relax it all. Lots of lube, lots of slowness, deep breaths for opening. And fingers first, you know.
With glove.
Well, it depends. If you're playing with a personal
If you're in a
partner,
temple.
then it's with 50 other people around. Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah. Do you think that answers that person's question? Or?
I do. Just one more from me, and then Shay, have you got any left to go?
No, I've asked all mine.
Yeah, it's actually another chance to plug your brilliant sponsor. I want to introduce a sex toy in the bedroom. Where can I start? What's a good starting point?
Yes, well, there is, and I honestly say this, is like so many people do not know what to do. And for Wild Secrets, who are our sponsor, who we're so grateful for, you know, you can go online and it's all done by category, like, you know, male, female,
Couples,
beginners,
fetish.
Yeah. It's really easy to find like different things if you've got no idea what you want or what you like. And I think it's really important to visually see things, because I think you can have a visceral response. The body will sort of feel attracted or scared or, you know, by things, seeing it. So I think that's a great place to start.
Also, I've going into a sex store with your partner is really fun. Like, even not with the intention of buying anything. I've always enjoyed like walking around and being like, as you say, like drawn to something, or being like, oh, okay. And then like seeing how they respond to it as well.
Yeah.
Even as just be like, let's have a laugh.
lights the
go on.
fire a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. And then you can leave and be like, what did you like?
I think because people are so like, I don't know what I like, or I want to spice things up, but how do I do that? Like, if you can go onto a website like Wild Secrets, you get inspired. You know, you kind of see something, you're like, oh, actually, I think we could give that a hoon. Yeah, all right, I'll buy that and add that to the cart and, you know, try it out and see. And that's the thing, you know, I think curiosity and bringing that sense of play and laughter is so important because, yeah, you will try things that you don't like. I often say, though, try something 3 times, unless it's like a hard no, because the context around it matters, you know. Like one day you might be really stressed and then you're trying to, you know, put a butt plug in and you're like, it doesn't work, but you're stressed and tired. The next day you might have had a massage and a whole day in the sun and you're feeling really open and then that butt plug slips right in, you know. So, yeah,
It's like
be brave.
Yeah.
What?
No, I was thinking I've got 2 more sessions with the crave egg then of try everything 3 times.
Yeah, there you go. Try everything thrice.
I was just thinking we should make this like a yearly check-in. It's
Do you
been
know what?
it's been so cool, eh? And
It's so amazing. I was not even a question for you guys, but just seeing how you guys are with this whole chat is so beautiful. I just love it, like the openness. And I think like it's one thing to hear a sexologist be open, and then it's one thing to hear like a comedian be open with a sexologist, but to like come on a podcast with like 2 straight dudes and to see your like lovely open minds and open hearts, it's gorgeous.
Is that-
and that I think that's just like that's, you know, like I think we mentioned earlier, like young men, you know, won't know anything about this, or young men won't know this. You're the example for what it should be, which is just great. I love it.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's beautiful to say.
That's so cool. And we haven't always been like this. Like
No,
we've
exactly.
got, and it was probably from when Morgan first came on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like it's been a huge year of growth and development. And now, I mean, I've certainly felt a lot more comfortable in this conversation, and it just seems normal, which is the
Yeah.
whole goal, right? So
Yeah.
Totally.
It's-
So I love the idea of the annual check-in because then like, what's next year?
yeah.
Can I give them a little wank off as well? Are you finished?
Please.
I'm going to tap in. Like when I got asked to be on your podcast last time, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard of them. What? 2 lads? Oh, God, are they going to just like be smutty? Are they going to understand what I'm about? You know? And then they told me, that they record for about an hour and a half. And I was like, who are these self-entitled pricks that think that they are worth listening to for that long? I was like, I'm not going on this podcast. And they were like, just have a listen. And I was like, fine. And I was like,
Yeah.
they're quite good.
Yeah.
And then, but I still wasn't that fussed. And then I came on.
I thought you were here to give them compliments. You're just
coming.
like,
It's
yeah,
coming,
ripping them
Hayley.
apart.
This is the build up, okay? This is we're edging, getting ready. And then I was so in love with you guys when I walked out of our session together because it took so much guts for you, and I could see it both in your bodies and the sharing that you did. You had so much reverence. You had done so much research on me. You took so much care. And I was like, this changes things for men. This is such an important conversation, your audience. And I was so grateful that you were willing to step into a space that was uncomfortable for you both, which you were, you know, but you handled it and you did it. And I was like, this is so great. So I'm really, really grateful. And it's so beautiful to come back together and see you guys really relaxed and
Totally.
into it.
Yeah.
So go
That's
you
really
guys.
nice.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely get you back if you're
hot
going
in
to
here?
finish steps like that.
out.
No, amazing. I've loved it. It's so good. And congratulations on all your success. Season
You
2
guys too.
is out now. So make sure you go and check it out. You'll definitely check it out if you've got this far. Shay?
Yeah, just on season 2, if you haven't listened to episode 1, go and listen to it, obviously. But can you just tease us a little bit about what we might expect in the rest of the season?
Yeah. Are you talking about that little song that I sang before we started this?
I'm prodding the bear, sure.
I went, I'm in love with a stripper. And then I was like, I sleep with a stripper for the podcast.
For the podcast.
But maybe I didn't actually sleep with him because Hayley doesn't heard that episode yet. So,
Well, you
We
know
don't
me.
know,
I'm
but-
always pushing for the P&V. I'm always
yes,
like, let's
she's a
get
big
it
fan.
going.
but like I did really push myself this time personally as well. Like there were, and that's the thing. Like I put myself in situations I didn't know how it was going to go, but either way, like what Ross Boss said with Jason Momoa, it's content. Like whatever happens, as long as I was in my own integrity, Like when I went to a wrestling kink party, I took my Mexican wrestling mask, and
luchador mask. That's the correct term.
and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was up for the weirdness. Like a swingers sex ball, like that was freaking outrageous for me. Like condoms were flying around like a Macintosh lolly scramble.
One thing.
That's a real generational reference. Can tell when you grew up. They don't even make those anymore.
Don't they?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I might be wrong.
No, I'm sure they make a Macintosh that had like an egg flavour.
Egg
Flavour. One thing that pops up, and this could be a really curious tease to make you want to listen to the podcast. At some point, gnome dwarf heavy metal pops up.
All right.
That's a tease.
Maybe we
That's
leave
the
it
genre
there.
of music that pops up.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us,
guys.
Morgan and
Thank
Hayley.
you.
See you next year.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yo.